Hello, everyone. So, welcome to this fascinating journey through history, where we will explore 15 remarkable facts that reveal how human civilization has evolved over thousands of years. History is much more than a collection of dates and events, it is the story of human curiosity, resilience, innovation, and the continuous pursuit of knowledge. Every civilization, whether ancient or modern, has contributed ideas, discoveries, and achievements that continue to shape our world today. Throughout this video, we will examine extraordinary archaeological discoveries, legendary civilizations, groundbreaking inventions, and remarkable historical mysteries. We will also explore controversies that have inspired debate among historians and archaeologists. Rather than relying on the myths or sensational claims, we will focus on evidence based history, presenting different viewpoints where appropriate and explaining why scholars sometimes disagree. This approach helps us appreciate that history is an evolving discipline, constantly enriched by new discoveries and improved research methods. History also teaches valuable life lessons. It reminds us that great achievements are built through perseverance, cooperation, and the willingness to learn from both success and failure. Many of the world's greatest monuments, scientific discoveries, and cultural accomplishments were possible because individuals and societies believed in long term thinking and shared knowledge across generations. As you watch this video, consider how each historical fact connects to our life today. Ancient engineering influences modern construction. Early systems of governance inspire today's institutions. Historical trade routes helped create the global connections we experience every day. Understanding the past helps us make better decisions for the future. Finally, this video is also about gratitude. Every generation has inherited knowledge from those who came before it. The books we read, the technologies we use, and the freedoms we enjoy are all built upon centuries of human effort. By appreciating history, we gain respect for the countless individuals whose contributions continue to benefit humanity. Let us begin this exciting journey through 15 fascinating history facts that continues to inspire curiosity, learning, and appreciation for our shared human heritage. Many people ask why history matters in today's rapidly changing technological world. The answer is simple. History provides perspective. It allows us to understand how societies developed, why civilizations succeeded or failed, and how human decisions continue to influence the present. Every modern achievement, from democratic institutions to scientific research and international trade, has deep historical roots. History is often described as humanity's greatest teacher because it preserves the experiences of previous generations. While circumstances changes over the time, many fundamental human challenges remains remarkably similar. Questions about leadership, justice, innovation, conflict, cooperation, and resilience have existed for thousands of years. By studying historical examples, we can identify patterns that helps us make more informed decisions today. One common controversy surrounding the history is the belief that it is always written by the winners. While this idea contains some truth, modern historical research goes far beyond official records. Archaeologists, linguists, anthropologists, and scientists examine physical evidences, ancient inscriptions, artifacts, environmental data, and newly discovered manuscripts to build a more balanced understanding of the past. As new discoveries emerge, historians often revise earlier conclusions. This willingness to update knowledge based on evidences is one of history's greatest strengths. History also encourages empathy. By learning about different cultures, traditions, and civilizations, we recognize that humanity has always been diverse and interconnected. Ancient trade routes linked continents long before modern globalization. Scientific knowledge traveled across civilizations, enriching societies through collaboration rather than isolation. Understanding these connections promotes respect for cultural diversity and shared human achievements. Perhaps the most inspiring lesson history offers is the hope. Civilizations have overcome pandemics, natural disasters, economic crisis, and political conflicts. Again and again, the people rebuilt their communities through determination, innovation, and cooperation. These examples remind us that challenges are temporary, while human creativity and resilience endure. As we continue through this video, remember that history is not merely about the past, it is a guide for the future, encouraging critical thinking, gratitude for previous generations, and confidence that humanity can continue solving complex problems through knowledge, collaboration, and perseverance. Have you ever wondered how historians know what happened thousands of years ago? Unlike modern journalists, historians cannot interview eyewitnesses from ancient civilizations. Instead, they combined evidences from many different disciplines to reconstruct the past as accurately as possible. This process resembles solving an enormous puzzle in which each discovery adds another piece to the overall picture. Archaeology plays one of the most important roles in historical research. Excavations uncover pottery, tools, buildings, coins, inscriptions, skeletons, and everyday objects that reveals how people lived. Scientific techniques such as radiocarbon dating, dendrochronology, and DNA analysis helps determining the age and origin of artifacts. Satellite imagery, ground penetrating radar, and digital mapping now allows researchers to identify ancient cities hidden beneath forests, deserts, and farmland. Historical documents provide another valuable sources of information. Ancient manuscripts, royal records, religious texts, letters, and trade documents reveals political events, economic systems, and cultural beliefs. However, historians recognize that every source may contain bias. A king's inscription celebrating a military victory, for example, may exaggerate success while ignoring the defeats. Therefore, scholars compare multiple independent sources before reaching to the conclusions. One controversy often arises when popular legends conflict with archaeological evidences. Stories passed down through generations may contain elements of truth while also including symbolism or exaggeration. Responsible historians neither dismissed traditions outright nor accepted them uncritically. Instead, they carefully compared oral traditions with physical evidences, scientific findings, and historical records. History continues to evolve because new discoveries constantly reshape our understanding. Lost cities are uncovered, forgotten manuscripts are translated, and advanced technologies reveals the details that were previously impossible to detect. This ongoing process demonstrates that history is a dynamic field built on curiosity, evidence, and continuous learning. By understanding how historians work, we become better critical thinkers. We learn to evaluate evidence, question assumptions, and appreciate that knowledge grows through careful research rather than speculation alone. Standing proudly on the Giza plateau in the Egypt, the Great Pyramid remains one of humanity's greatest engineering achievements. Built approximately 4,500 years ago during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, it is the oldest surviving wonder of the ancient world and continues to inspire admiration from engineers, architects, and historians alike. The pyramid originally stood about 146 meters tall and was constructed using millions of carefully shaped limestone and granite blocks. Even today, researchers continue studying exactly how ancient builders transported and positioned these enormous stones with remarkable precision. While many imaginative theories have suggested supernatural or extraterrestrial involvement, archaeological evidence strongly supports the conclusion that skilled Egyptian workers, advanced planning, and innovative engineering techniques were responsible for this extraordinary accomplishment. Recent discoveries have revealed workers, villages, tools, food remains, and written records indicating that thousands of laborers lived near the construction site. These findings challenge the long-held myth that the pyramids were built primarily by enslaved people. Instead, evidences suggests that many workers were organized teams of skilled laborers who received food, shelter, and medical care during the construction. The Great Pyramid also demonstrates impressive mathematical knowledge. Its alignment with the cardinal directions is remarkably accurate, and its proportions continue to fascinate researchers studying ancient geometry and surveying techniques. Although some popular books claim hidden mystical codes exist within the pyramid, most professional historians emphasize that its true significance lies in the extraordinary capabilities of ancient Egyptian civilization rather than unsupported speculation. Beyond its engineering brilliance, the pyramid symbolizes humanity's ability to accomplish ambitious goals through organization, cooperation, and long-term vision. Building such a monument requires decades of planning, logistical coordination, skilled craftsmanship, and shared commitment. The Great Pyramid reminds us that remarkable achievements do not always require modern technology. Human creativity, determination, and collaboration have always been the powerful forces. By appreciating this incredible monument, we honor the ingenuity of one of history's greatest civilizations and recognize that curiosity and innovation have driven human progress throughout the ages. Hidden beneath the hills of southeastern Turkey for thousands of years, Göbekli Tepe has transformed our understanding of early human civilization. Discovered in the 20th century and extensively excavated in recent decades, this remarkable archaeological site is estimated to be more than 11,000 years old, making it significantly older than Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids. The site consists of massive circular stone enclosures containing enormous carved pillars decorated with detailed images of animals, birds, and symbolic figures. The sophistication of these carvings surprised archaeologists because they were created by the communities that lived before the widespread development of agriculture and permanent cities. This discovery challenged long-standing assumptions that complex religious or ceremonial structures could only emerge after farming societies became established. One major historical controversy concerns the purpose of Göbekli Tepe. Some researchers believe it served primarily as a ceremonial or ritual center where different communities gathered periodically. Others suggest it may also have functioned as a place for social cooperation, knowledge exchange, and cultural identity. While debates continue, most scholars agree that the site demonstrates impressive organizational abilities among early human societies. Popular media has sometimes promoted sensational theories involving the lost advanced civilizations or extraterrestrial influences. However, archaeological evidences consistently supports the conclusion that ancient human communities themselves designed, carved, transported, and assembled these remarkable structures. Their achievements reflect intelligence, creativity, and cooperation rather than mysterious outside intervention. It teaches an important lesson about the evolving nature of history. Every major archaeological discovery has the potential to reshape established theories. Instead of viewing changing interpretations as weakness, we should recognize them as evidence of scientific progress. As new information becomes available, responsible researchers revise conclusions to reflect the strongest available evidences. Perhaps the greatest inspiration from Göbekli Tepe is the realization that human curiosity, creativity, and cooperation existed long before the written history. Even our earliest ancestors possessed remarkable abilities to organize large projects, create symbolic art, and build meaningful places that continue to inspire wonder thousands of years later. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan civilization, stands among the world's earliest and most advanced urban societies, flourishing between approximately 2600 BCE and 1900 BCE across present-day Pakistan and northwestern India. It covered an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. Major cities such as Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira, and Lothal demonstrate an impressive level of planning that continues to astonish archaeologists today. One of the civilization's most remarkable achievements was its sophisticated urban design. Streets were arranged in a grid pattern, homes were built using standardized baked bricks, and many houses included private bathrooms connected to carefully engineered drainage systems. Some cities even featured public baths, wells, and reservoirs, reflecting a strong emphasis on sanitation and water management. These innovations were extraordinary for their time and illustrate the importance these communities placed on the public health and organized civic planning. Another fascinating aspect is the civilization's extensive trade network. Archaeological discoveries indicates commercial exchanges with Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and regions along the Arabian Sea. Seals, beads, pottery, and precious stones found across different regions suggest a thriving economy supported by skilled artisans and merchants. Standardized weights and measures further demonstrates a highly organized commercial systems. One of the history's enduring mysteries is the Indus script. Thousands of seals contains short inscriptions that remains undeciphered despite decades of research. Because no bilingual inscription similar to the Rosetta Stone has been discovered, scholars have not yet reached consensus, consensus about the language represented by these symbols. This remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved puzzles and continues to inspire international research. A common controversy concerns why the civilization declined. Earlier theories suggested a sudden invasion, but modern evidence increasingly points towards a combination of environmental changes, shifting river systems, climate variation, and gradual economic transformation rather than a single catastrophic event. This demonstrates how historical interpretations evolve as new evidence emerges. The Indus Valley Civilization reminds us that the innovation, cooperation, and sustainable urban planning are not the modern inventions. Thousands of years ago, people successfully built organized cities that prioritized cleanliness, engineering, trade, and community well being. Their achievements encourage us to appreciate humanity's long tradition of creativity and to recognize that many solutions to today's urban challenges have surprisingly ancient roots. The Library of Alexandria has become one of history's most powerful symbols of knowledge, curiosity, and the pursuit of learning. Established in ancient Egypt during the Ptolemaic period, likely in the 3rd century BC, it was far more than a library in the modern sense. It formed parts of a larger research institution known as the museum where scholars from across the Mediterranean gathered to study mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, literature, and many other disciplines. Historical accounts suggest that the library sought to collect every available book and manuscript from the known world. Ships arriving at Alexandria were reportedly required to surrender scrolls temporarily so they could be copied, although some stories may have been exaggerated. Over time, archaeological and historical evidences confirms that Alexandria became one of antiquity's greatest intellectual centers. Perhaps the greatest controversy surrounding the Library of Alexandria concerns its destruction. Popular culture often portrays a single dramatic event in which the entire library was burned, instantly erasing humanity's accumulated knowledge. Modern historians, however, generally rejected this simplified narrative. Evidence suggests that the library likely experienced multiple periods of damage over several centuries due to warfare, political instability, changing governments, economic decline, and reduced institutional support. Rather than disappearing overnight, its collections probably diminished gradually. The story of Alexandria teaches an important lesson about preserving knowledge. Civilizations advances when they encourage education, open discussion, and the sharing of ideas across cultures. Many discoveries attributed to later periods were possible because earlier scholars carefully recorded, translated, and preserved existing knowledge. Alexandria also demonstrates the value of international collaboration. Scholars from Greece, Egypt, Persia, and other regions exchanged ideas that enriched mathematics, geography, medicines, and astronomy. This reminds us that scientific and intellectual progress often results from cooperation rather than competition. Today, modern libraries, universities, museums, and digital archives continues the mission that Alexandria once represented. Every preserved manuscript, archaeological artifact, and historical document contributes to humanity's shared memory. The legacy of Alexandria encourages us to value education, protect cultural heritage, and remain curious throughout our life. Knowledge grows strongest when it is preserved, shared, and continually expanded for the future generations. In 1974, the farmers digging a well near Xi'an in China made one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Beneath the ground lay thousands of life-sized clay soldiers, horses, chariots, and military officials created more than 2200 years ago to guard the tomb of China's first emperor, Queen Shi Huang. Today, this extraordinary archaeological site is recognized as one of the world's greatest examples of ancient craftsmanship and engineering. The Terracotta Army consists of thousands of individually crafted figures. Remarkably, no two faces appear exactly alike. Archaeologists have identified different hairstyles, facial expressions, armor designs, and military ranks represented throughout the army. This remarkable attention to detail reflects both artistic excellence and the sophisticated organizational abilities of the Qin dynasty. Originally, many of the statues were painted in vivid colors. Unfortunately, exposure to air after excavation caused much of the original paint to deteriorate rapidly. Modern archaeologists now use advanced conservation techniques to preserve newly discovered figures before exposing them fully. This illustrates how archaeology increasingly combines history with chemistry, engineering, and environmental science. Several controversies surrounds the tomb of Queen Shi Huang itself. Historical writings describe rivers of mercury flowing through the emperor's underground mausoleum. Scientific surveys have detected unusually high mercury concentrations in the surrounding soil, lending some support to these ancient accounts. However, the central burial chamber remains largely unexcavated. Chinese authorities and international experts have chosen to delay excavation until technology can better preserve whatever lies inside. This careful approach reflects modern archaeology's commitment to conservation over rapid discovery. Another common misconception is that the army represents supernatural beliefs alone, while spiritual beliefs certainly influenced the project. The Terracotta Army also symbolizes political power, military organization, and the emperor's desire to demonstrate unity across a newly consolidated empire. It serves as both an artistic masterpiece and historical record of ancient Chinese society. The Terracotta Army reminds us that great civilizations invested not only in military strength but also in the art, craftsmanship, and long term vision. More importantly, it teaches patience rather than rushing to uncover every mystery. Responsible historians and archaeologists recognize that protecting history for future generations are sometimes more valuable than immediate discovery. Respecting the past ensures that its lessons remain available for centuries to come. One of the greatest engineering mysteries of the ancient world is Roman concrete, a building material that has survived for nearly 2000 years. Many Roman harbors, bridges, aqueducts, temples, and public buildings remain standing today, while some modern concrete structures require major repairs after only a few decades. This remarkable durability has fascinated engineers, geologists, and material scientists around the world. The Romans developed a unique mixture using lime, volcanic ash known as pozzolana, water, and stone aggregates. When this mixture interacted with the seawater, complex chemical reactions gradually strengthened the concrete instead of weakening it. Modern scientific studies have shown that minerals continued forming within the material over centuries, helping to seal tiny cracks naturally. This process is one reason why many Roman coastal structures remain remarkably well preserved despite constant exposure to the waves and salt water. Among the most impressive examples in the Pantheon in Rome, whose massive unreinforced concrete dome remains the largest of its kind ever constructed. Engineers continue studying its design because it demonstrates extraordinary knowledge of structural weight distribution and material efficiency. Roman aqueducts also showcase practical engineering, transporting water across vast distances using carefully calculated gradients that required no electrical pumps. A popular controversy suggests that the exact Roman concrete formula was completely lost and impossible to recreate. While some details were forgotten after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, modern researchers have successfully identified many of its ingredients and manufacturing methods through chemical analysis and archaeological investigation. Scientists continue experimenting with these ancient techniques to develop stronger and more environmentally sustainable construction materials. The story of Roman concrete also reminds us that technological progress is not always linear. Civilizations sometimes lose valuable knowledge because of political change, economic decline, or social disruption. Fortunately, archaeology and scientific research allows humanity to rediscover forgotten innovations and adapt them to modern challenges. The greatest lesson from Roman concrete is the value of building for future generations. Roman engineers often designed structures expected to last for centuries rather than decades. Their work reflects careful planning, quality craftsmanship, and long-term thinking. In today's rapidly changing world, this historical example encourages us to prioritize sustainability, durability, and responsible innovation. True progress is measured not only by how quickly we build, but also by how well our achievements continue serving future generations. When many people think about the European discovery of the Americas, the name Christopher Columbus immediately comes to the mind. However, archaeological evidences has shown that Norse explorers from Scandinavia reached North America nearly 5 centuries earlier. Around the year 1000 CE, Viking expeditions led by explorers such as Leif Erikson established a settlement at Lance Oaks Meadows in present-day Newfoundland, Canada. For many years, stories describing these voyages existed primarily in Icelandic sagas. Some historians initially questioned sorry, whether these accounts reflected real historical events or legendary storytelling. The debate changed dramatically in the 1960s when archaeologists Hilge and Anne Stein Engstad discovered the remains sorry, of a Norse settlement in Newfoundland. Excavations uncovered turf buildings, ironworking evidence, tools, and artifacts that clearly matched Viking culture. This discovery provided a strong archaeological confirmation that Norse explorers had indeed crossed the Atlantic centuries before Columbus. The Vikings were exceptional navigators, using knowledge of the stars, ocean currents, winds, bird migration, and coastal landmarks. They traveled across vast distances in their famous long ships. These vessels combined speed, flexibility, and remarkable seaworthiness, allowing voyages from Scandinavia to Iceland, Greenland, and eventually North America. One controversy often arises from misunderstanding what discovery means. Indigenous peoples have lived throughout the Americas for thousands of years before either the Vikings or Columbus arrived. Therefore, historians today generally avoid describing European arrivals as the discovery of America. Instead, they describe these events as periods of contact between different civilizations. This terminology better recognizes the long and rich histories of indigenous communities who had already established sophisticated societies across the continent. The Viking settlement appears to have been relatively short lived, likely due to environmental conditions, limited resources, and interactions with local indigenous populations. Nevertheless, its significance is enormous because it demonstrates that transatlantic travel occurred long before the better known voyages of the 15th century. The Viking story teaches us that history continues to evolve as new evidence emerges. Archaeological discoveries can confirm, challenge, or refine long held beliefs. It also reminds us that exploration has always been driven by courage, curiosity, adaptability, and the desire to understand the unknown. Most importantly, it encourages us to appreciate history as a shared human journey where different cultures made remarkable contributions that together shaped our understanding of the world. The Black Death was one of the most devastating pandemics in human history. Between 1347 and 1353, it spread across Europe, parts of Asia, and North Africa, claiming the life of an estimated one third to one half of Europe's population. Although this tragedy caused immense suffering, it also transformed society in ways that continued to influence the modern world. Scientists now know that the disease was primarily caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which was transmitted mainly through fleas carried by rodents. Medieval people, however, had no knowledge of bacteria or germs. Many communities believed the disease resulted from divine punishment, poisonous air, or supernatural forces. These misunderstandings often led to fear, misinformation, and the persecution of innocent groups. Modern historical research reminds us how dangerous misinformation can become during the times of crisis. The pandemic created severe labor shortages because so many people died within a relatively short period. As a result, surviving workers became more valuable, wages increased in many regions, and long-standing social structures began to change. Historians believe these economic shifts contributed to the gradual decline of feudalism in parts of Europe and encouraged technological innovation to compensate for reduced labor. One historical controversy concerns the exact routes through which the disease spread. While historians generally agree that expanding trade networks played a major role, researchers continue studying climate patterns, trade records, and genetic evidences to better understand how different outbreaks develop. Modern DNA analysis of ancient burial sites has greatly improved our understanding of the plague's evolution. The Black Death also encouraged significant advances in public health. Cities gradually introduced quarantine measures, sanitation improvements, and organized medical responses that laid important foundations for future disease control. Although medicine remained limited at the time, these experiences demonstrated the importance of coordinated public action during health emergencies. Perhaps the greatest lesson from the Black Death is the resilience of humanity. Despite unimaginable hardship, societies rebuilt their economies, expanded education, strengthened institutions, and continued making remarkable scientific and cultural achievements. History teaches us that while pandemics may temporarily disrupt civilization, cooperation, knowledge, and compassion enable humanity to recover. The story encourages gratitude for modern medicine and reminds us that learning from the past crisis helps us respond more effectively to the future challenges. Long before modern highways and railways, the Inca Empire built one of the most impressive transportation networks in the world history, stretching more than 40,000 kilometers across present-day Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, and Colombia. The Inca road system connected cities, mountain villages, agricultural centers, and administrative regions throughout one of the world's most challenging landscapes. Constructed without wheeled vehicles or horses, the roads crossed towering mountains, deep valleys, deserts, and forests. Inca engineers designed stone staircases, retaining walls, drainage channels, tunnels, and suspension bridges made from woven plant fibers. Many of these bridges were regularly rebuilt by local communities, demonstrating a remarkable system of shared responsibility and engineering knowledge passed from generation to generation. The road network served many important purposes. Government officials used it to administer the empire efficiently, while messengers known as chasquids, carried information rapidly between distant regions. Relay stations positioned along the roads allowed messages to travel hundreds of kilometers in a single day. Farmers transported goods, armies moved efficiently, and communities remained connected despite difficult geography. A common misconception is that ancient civilizations lacking advanced machinery could not build sophisticated infrastructure. Inca road systems proves otherwise. Through careful observation of the landscape, skilled stonework, and community cooperation, the Incas created a transportation network that continues to impress modern civil engineers. One historical debate concerns how centralized Inca construction truly was. While imperial leadership directed many large scale projects, archaeological evidence indicates that local communities played a significant role in maintaining and expanding the roads. This highlights the importance of cooperation between governments and citizens in achieving ambitious public works. Today, sections of the original roads remain in US use, including famous routes leading to Machu Picchu. UNESCO recognizes this network as one of humanity's outstanding cultural achievements. The Inca road system teaches us that great infrastructure is about more than physical construction. It connects people, ideas, economies, and cultures. Lasting progress is achieved when engineering serves communities, encourages collaboration, and creates opportunities for the future generations. When many people hear the name Timbuktu, they often think of a distant or mysterious place. Yet, between the 13th and 16th centuries, Timbuktu, located in present day Mali, became one of the world's leading centers of education, scholarship, commerce, and culture. Its universities and libraries attracted students, scholars, scientists, theologians, mathematicians, and merchants from across Africa and beyond. Thousands of handwritten manuscripts were carefully preserved in Timbuktu's libraries. These documents covered a remarkable variety of subjects, including astronomy, mathematics, medicine, law, philosophy, literature, geography, ethics, and Islamic theology. The manuscripts demonstrate that advanced scientific and intellectual traditions flourished in the West Africa during periods when many people today mistakenly assume little scholarly activity existed there. One common historical misconception is that Africa's intellectual history relied primarily on oral traditions. While oral storytelling certainly played an important role, Timbuktu's manuscript collections provides overwhelming evidence of extensive written scholarship. Modern historians continue translating and studying these texts, revealing valuable insights into medieval science, governance, economics, and education. A significant controversy arose during recent conflicts in Mali when extremist groups threatened many historic manuscripts. Fortunately, courageous librarians, local families, and volunteers secretly transported hundreds of thousands of manuscripts to safer locations, preserving an irreplaceable part of humanity's cultural heritage. Their efforts demonstrated extraordinary dedication to protecting knowledge despite considerable personal risk. Researchers continue discovering new information within these manuscripts. Some contains detailed astronomical observations, sophisticated legal discussions, commercial records, and medical knowledge that enriches our understanding of global intellectual history. These findings reminds us that scientific and educational achievements have emerged from many civilizations across different continents. The story of Timbuktu also highlights the importance of preserving cultural heritage. Libraries, museums, archives, and historical collections safeguard humanity's shared memory. Once knowledge is destroyed, it may never be fully recovered. The Timbuktu libraries inspire us to value education, respect cultural diversity, and recognize that wisdom belongs to no single civilization. Human progress has always depended upon learning from one another across cultures and generations. By protecting knowledge and encouraging lifelong learning, we honor both the scholars of the past and the opportunities available to future generations. Throughout history, very few inventions have transformed the civilization as profoundly as the printing press. Around 1450, the German inventor Johannes Gutenberg introduced movable metal type printing in the Europe, creating a technological revolution that dramatically increased the production and accessibility of books. While earlier forms of printing had already existed in China, Korea, and other parts of Asia, Gutenberg's innovation made large-scale printing in Europe faster, more efficient, and economically practical. Before the printing press, books were copied by hand, often taking months or even years to complete. As a result, manuscripts were extremely expensive and available only to a small portion of society. With movable type, thousands of identical copies could be produced much more quickly, allowing the knowledge to spread farther than ever before. The printing press played a significant role in expanding literacy, supporting scientific discovery, encouraging education, and facilitating the exchange of ideas. Scholars could now share research across countries, universities gained greater access to the books, and ordinary people gradually obtained opportunities to learn through printed materials. Many historians believe this technological breakthrough contributed to the Renaissance, the scientific revolution, and later social and political transformations. One historical controversy involves identifying the true inventor of printing. While Gutenberg is widely recognized for revolutionizing European printing, historians emphasize that printing technology has a much longer global history. Woodblock printing developed centuries earlier in East Asia, and Korea's use of movable metal type predates Gutenberg's work. Rather than viewing these achievements as competing claims, modern scholarship recognizes that innovation often develops across multiple civilizations, with each contribution building upon previous knowledge. The printing revolution demonstrates that technology alone does not changes the world. Access to knowledge does. Books encouraged critical thinking, preserved the scientific discoveries, and allowed ideas to cross geographical and cultural boundaries. Education gradually became more accessible, empowering individuals to question assumptions and contribute new discoveries. The greatest lesson from the printing press is that knowledge becomes more valuable when it is shared. Every generation benefits from preserving and distributing ideas that inspire learning, creativity, and progress. Today, digital technology continues this tradition by making information accessible to billions of people worldwide. Printing press reminds us that education remains one of humanity's most powerful tools for creating a better future. Hidden among the sandstone cliffs of southern Jordan lies Petra, one of the world's most breathtaking archaeological treasures, known as the Rose City because of the pink and red colors of its surrounding rock formations. Petra served as the capital of Nabatean kingdom more than 2000 years ago. Today, it is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and stands as a remarkable example of ancient engineering, architecture, and commercial success. The Nabateans strategically built Petra along important trade routes connecting Arabia, Egypt, the Mediterranean, and Mesopotamia. Merchants transporting the spices, incense, silk, precious metals, and other valuable goods passed through the city, contributing to its prosperity rather than relying solely on agriculture. Petra flourished by facilitating international trade and providing services to travelers from many cultures. Perhaps the city's greatest achievement was its advanced water management system, despite being located in an arid desert environment. The Nabateans engineered dams, reservoirs, underground channels, and ceramic pipelines that collected and distributed water efficiently throughout the city. Their ability to conserve scarce resources allowed Petra to support a large population and remain economically successful for centuries. The magnificent rock cut buildings, including the famous treasury, often inspire popular myths suggesting hidden treasures or mysterious lost civilizations. In reality, archaeological evidence shows that these impressive structures serve practical purposes such as tombs, ceremonial buildings, and administrative centers. Their beauty reflects the extraordinary artistic and engineering skills of the Nabatean people rather than supernatural influences. Another historical discussion concerns Petra's decline. While earthquakes damaged parts of the city, historians generally agree that changing trade routes gradually reduced its economic importance. As maritime trade expanded, fewer caravans traveled through Petra, leading to a slow decline rather than a sudden collapse. This reminds us that economic change has always influenced the rise and the fall of great cities. Petra teaches timeless lessons about adaptability, innovation, and sustainability. The Nabateans succeeded by understanding their environment, managing limited resources wisely, and building strong commercial relationships with neighboring regions. Their achievements demonstrates that long-term prosperity depends not only on natural resources but also on creativity, planning, and cooperation. As we admire Petra today, we celebrate the ingenuity of a civilization that transformed a harsh desert landscape into one of history's greatest architectural masterpieces. Its enduring beauty reminds us that human imagination combined with practical knowledge and determination can overcome even the most challenging environments. Ancient India made remarkable contributions to the science, mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and metallurgy that continues to influence the modern world. Across centuries, scholars working in renowned centers of learning developed ideas that advanced human knowledge and laid important foundations for future discoveries. These achievements remind us that scientific progress has always been a global effort shaped by contributions from many civilizations. One of India's most significant mathematical achievements was the development and widespread use of the decimal place value system and the symbol for zero. This numerical system transformed mathematics because it allowed calculations to become far more efficient than many earlier numbering methods. Over time, these ideas spread through trade and scholarship to the Middle East and Europe, becoming the foundation of modern mathematics, computing engineering, and finance. Indian astronomers also made impressive observations of planetary motion, eclipses, and the length of the solar year. Scholars such as Aryabhatta proposed mathematical explanations for astronomical phenomena and emphasized observation and calculation rather than relying solely on traditions. Although some historical interpretations have been debated over time, there is broad agreement that Indian astronomy contributed significantly to the global development of scientific thoughts. Ancient Indian medicines, particularly the traditions preserved in Ayurveda, emphasized preventive healthcare, nutrition, surgery, and holistic well-being. Historical texts attributed to physicians such as Shusruta describe surgical techniques and medical instruments that demonstrate sophisticated medical understanding for their time. While modern medicines evaluates historical practices using contemporary scientific methods, these texts remain important milestones in the history of healthcare. A common controversy involves exaggerated claims that every modern scientific discovery originated in the ancient India. Responsible historical scholarship distinguishes between well-documented achievements and unsupported assertions. Appreciating genuine accomplishments does not require exaggeration. Evidence-based history allows us to celebrate real contributions while maintaining academic integrity. The great lesson from ancient Indian science is the importance of curiosity, observation, and lifelong learning. Scientific progress flourishes when societies encourage education, open inquiry, and the sharing of knowledge across cultures. By recognizing authentic historical achievements, we develop a deeper appreciation for humanity's collective intellectual heritage and understand that innovation grows through collaboration, evidence, and continuous exploration. During the early 15th century, the Chinese admiral Zheng He commanded one of history's most remarkable series of maritime expeditions. Between 1405 and 1433, his fleets sailed across Southeast Asia, the Indian Ocean, the Arabian Peninsula, and the eastern coast of Africa. These voyages demonstrated the extraordinary shipbuilding, navigation, and organizational capabilities of Ming Dynasty China. Historical records describes enormous fleets consisting of hundreds of vessels carrying sailors, diplomats, translators, doctors, engineers, merchants, and scholars. While historians continue debating the exact dimensions of the largest treasure ships, there is no doubt about Zheng. His expeditions represented one of the greatest maritime enterprises of the pre-modern world. The primary purpose of these voyages was diplomatic and commercial rather than territorial conquest. Zheng, he established relationships with many kingdoms, encouraged peaceful trade, exchanged gifts, and strengthened international connections. Exotic plants, animals, spices, precious goods, and scientific knowledge traveled alongside the fleets, enriching both China and its trading partners. One of the major historical controversies concerns the size of Zheng, his largest ships. Some historical accounts describe vessels much larger than those accepted by many modern naval historians. Researchers continue examining historical documents, archaeological findings, and engineering calculations to better understand the capabilities of Ming shipbuilders. While debates remain, the significance of the voyages does not depend solely on the ship size. Their diplomatic, commercial, and cultural impact is well established. Another misconception suggests that Zheng He intended to establish overseas colonies similar to later European empires. Most available evidence indicates that his missions focused primarily on diplomacy, trade, and demonstrating imperial prestige rather than permanent overseas conquest. Then his voyages reminds us that exploration can promote cooperation as well as competition. Throughout history, civilizations have benefited from exchanging ideas, technologies, and cultural traditions. International partnerships often create lasting opportunities for innovation and mutual understanding. The legacy of Zheng He encourages us to remain open to learning from different cultures. Curiosity, respectful dialogue, and peaceful cooperation have long been among humanity's greatest strengths. His remarkable journeys continues to inspire historians, navigators, and anyone who believes that exploration can build bridges between the civilizations. Few archaeological discoveries have transformed historical understanding as dramatically as the Rosetta Stone, discovered in Egypt in 1799 by French soldiers during Napoleon's campaign. This remarkable artifact became the key to deciphering ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, opening a window into thousands of years of previously inaccessible history. The stone contains the same official decree written in three different scripts: Greek, hieroglyphic, Demotic, and ancient Greek. Because the scholars already understood Greek, they realized that comparing the texts could reveal the meaning of the Egyptian scripts. After years of careful study by several researchers, the French scholar Jean Francois Champlain achieved the breakthrough in 1822 by demonstrating that hieroglyphs represented both sounds and ideas rather than purely symbolic images. This discovery revolutionized Egyptology. Before the Rosetta Stone was deciphered, historians could admire Egypt's monuments but understood relatively little about the inscriptions covering temples, tombs, and monuments. Once hieroglyphs became readable, thousands of ancient records suddenly became accessible, providing direct insights into Egyptian religion, administration, engineering, daily life, literature, and political history. A modern controversy concerns ownership of the Rosetta Stone. The artifact is currently housed in the British Museum, while many people in Egypt believe it should eventually be returned to its country of origin. Supporters of repatriation argue that important cultural artifacts belong with the civilizations that created them. Others emphasize the role of international museums in preserving and displaying world heritage. This ongoing discussions reflects broader questions about cultural preservation, historical responsibility, and international cooperation. Regardless of where it is displayed, the Rosetta Stone symbolizes the power of language to unlock history. It demonstrates that even the greatest mysteries can eventually be solved through patience, collaboration, and scientific investigation. Perhaps its greatest lesson is that knowledge often advances through cooperation across generations. Archaeologists, linguists, historians, conservators, and museum professionals all contributed to revealing the stories hidden within ancient inscriptions. The Rosetta Stone reminds us that every language, document, and artifact has the potential to deepen our understanding of humanity's shared past. Through curiosity and careful research, history continues to reveal new insights that inspire future generations. History is full of fascinating stories, but not every popular story is historically accurate. Over time, legends, misunderstandings, political agendas, incomplete records, and even entertainment have shaped the way many historical events are remembered. One of the most important responsibilities of historians is to separate evidence from assumption while remaining open to new discoveries. A common misconception is that history is completely fixed and never changes. In reality, history is continually refined as archaeologists uncover new artifacts, scientists develop improved dating techniques, and researchers translate previously unread manuscripts. Updating historical understanding based on new evidence is not a weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths of historical research. Consider a few well known examples. Many people believed that medieval societies thought the earth was flat, yet educated scholars in Europe, the Middle East, India, and many other civilizations had long understood that the earth is spherical. Another popular belief is that the Great Wall of China can be clearly seen from the moon with the naked eye. Astronauts and the space agencies have confirmed that this claim is a myth. Similarly, the dramatic image of Vikings wearing horned helmets comes largely from 19th century artistic interpretations rather than archaeological evidences. Historical myths often become popular because they are simple, dramatic, and easy to remember. Reality, however, is usually more complex and therefore more interesting. Responsible historians compare archaeological discoveries, written records, scientific analysis, and multiple independent sources before reaching to the conclusions. They also acknowledge uncertainty when evidence is incomplete. One controversy surrounding history education is whether changing interpretations mean earlier historians were dishonest. In most cases, the answer is no. Earlier researchers worked with the evidence available at the time. As new discoveries emerge, interpretations naturally improve. Science and history both progress through continuous learning rather than claiming permanent certainty. The greatest lesson from studying historical myths is the importance of critical thinking. We should remain curious, ask thoughtful questions, examine reliable evidences, and avoid accepting extraordinary claims without careful investigation. Appreciating evidence based history allows us to celebrate genuine human achievements while remaining respectful of different cultures and perspectives. By seeking truth rather than sensationalism, we honor both the past and the future of historical scholarship. One of the most fascinating aspects of history is that it is rarely as simple as a single story. Historians often disagree, not because they ignore the facts, but because they interpret evidence differently, discover new information, or examine historical events from different perspectives. These debates are an essential part of responsible scholarship and help us develop a deeper understanding of the past. Many historical controversies arise because evidence is incomplete. Ancient civilizations rarely left behind perfect records. Documents may have been destroyed by wars, fires, floods, or the passage of time. Archaeological sites may still be buried underground, while inscriptions can be damaged or difficult to translate. As a result, historians sometimes must combine evidence from archaeology, written records, environmental studies, linguistics, and modern scientific analysis to reconstruct the past events. Different types of evidence can also lead to different interpretations. For example, one historian may emphasize political documents, while another focuses on archaeological discoveries or the economic records. Both approaches may contribute valuable insights. Healthy academic debate encourages researchers to challenge the assumptions, test new ideas, and refine conclusions based on stronger evidence rather than personal opinion. Some controversies become especially popular because they attract public attention. Questions about the construction of ancient monuments, the causes of the collapse of civilizations, or the identities of historical figures often generates excitement. While speculation can be entertaining, historians distinguish clearly between evidence-supported conclusions and hypotheses that remains unproven. Responsible scholarship welcomes curiosity but also values intellectual honesty by acknowledging uncertainty where evidences are limited. It is also important to recognize that historical interpretation can be influenced by cultural perspectives. Modern historians increasingly collaborate across countries and disciplines to reduce bias and build a more balanced understanding of global history. This international cooperation has expanded our knowledge of civilizations that were once underrepresented in the historical research. The greatest lesson from historical controversies is that this agreement does not necessarily indicate confusion. It often reflects the ongoing search for truth. Progress in knowledge depends upon asking questions, examining evidence carefully, and remaining willing to revise conclusions when better information becomes available. History therefore teaches more than the facts. It teaches humility, critical thinking, respect for evidence, and appreciation for the complexity of human civilization. These qualities help us become better learners, better decision makers, and more thoughtful citizens in an increasingly interconnected world. History is not simply a record of kingdoms, wars, and inventions. It is also a remarkable collection of leadership lessons across every civilization. Successful leaders share certain qualities that enabled their societies to prosper, while poor leadership often contributed to decline. By studying these examples, we gain practical insights that remains valuable in today's personal and professional life. One of the most consistent lessons throughout history is the importance of vision combined with responsibility. Great leaders such as Emperor Ashoka, after the Kalinga War, redirected his efforts towards peace, ethical governance, and public welfare. Rather than allowing military success to define his legacy, he focused on improving society through infrastructure, education, and respect for different beliefs. His transformation demonstrates that true leadership includes the willingness to learn, adapt, and place long term well being above short term victories. History also teaches that successful civilizations invested in knowledge, whether it was the scholars of Alexandria, the universities of Timbuktu, or scientific advancements in ancient India and China. Societies that encouraged learning often experienced greater innovation and resilience. Leaders who value education create opportunities not only for themselves but also for the future generations. Another lesson involves adaptability. The Roman Empire, the Inca civilization, and many successful trading societies constantly improved their engineering, administration, and communication systems. They understood that changing circumstances requires new solutions. In contrast, the leaders who resisted necessary change often struggled when faced with economic, environmental, or political challenges. A common misconception is that great leadership is based primarily on authority or the power. Historical evidence suggests otherwise. Lasting influence usually comes from the trust, fairness, competence, and the ability to unite people towards a shared purpose. Fear may achieve temporary obedience, but respect creates enduring cooperation. Leadership also requires humility. Many historical failures occurred when leaders ignored expert advice, underestimated challenges, or believed their success guaranteed future victories. Continuous learning and openness to constructive criticism remains essential qualities for effective leadership. The greatest lesson history offers is that leadership is measured not by titles, but by the positive impact. The most respected leaders leave behind stronger institutions, better opportunities, and societies capable of thriving long after their own time. Every individual, regardless of position, can apply these principles by acting with integrity, encouraging collaboration, and making decisions that benefits both present and future generations. As we reflect on thousands of years of history, one emotion naturally stands out: gratitude. Every aspect of modern life, from transportation and communication to medicines, education, engineering, and scientific research, has been built upon the efforts of countless individuals across generations. We benefit daily from discoveries made by people whose names we may never know. Ancient builders developed remarkable engineering techniques. Farmers learned to cultivate crops that supported growing populations. Scholars preserved knowledge through manuscripts and libraries. Explorers expanded geographical understanding, while inventors introduced technologies that transformed the daily life. Physicians improved healthcare through careful observation and experimentation. Teachers passed knowledge from one generation to the next. Together, these contributions formed the foundation of modern civilization. History also reminds us that the progress rarely belongs to a single nation or the culture. Mathematical concepts traveled across continents, scientific ideas were exchanged through trade and diplomacy. Artistic traditions inspired neighboring civilizations. Innovations often evolved through collaboration rather than isolation. This interconnected history encourages mutual respect and appreciation for humanity's shared achievements. At the same time, history acknowledges periods of conflict, injustice, and hardship. Remembering these experiences are equally important because they teach compassion, resilience, and the importance of protecting human dignity. Gratitude is strengthened not by ignoring the past challenges, but by recognizing how previous generations overcame them and worked towards improvement. Modern technology gives us access to the information that earlier civilizations could scarcely imagine. We can study ancient manuscripts online, communicate instantly across continents, and learn from experts worldwide. These opportunities carry responsibility, preserving historical sites, protecting cultural heritage, supporting education, and encouraging thoughtful dialogue help ensure that future generations inherit both knowledge and wisdom. Ultimately, the gratitude transforms the study of history from memorizing facts into appreciating humanity's remarkable journey. Every generation inherits the achievements of those who came before while contributing something new from those who will follow. Recognizing this shared legacy inspires us to act responsibly, continue learning, and build a future worthy of the generations that will one day study our own history. History offers more than fascinating stories. It provides practical guidance for everyday life. Although technology, politics, and societies continue to evolve, many fundamental human values remains constant. By examining the successes and failures of previous generations, we become better equipped to face modern challenges with wisdom and perspective. One important lesson is the value of evidence-based decision making. Throughout this video, we have seen how archaeology, science, and historical research continually improve our understanding of the past. This teaches us to avoid making important decisions based solely on assumptions, rumors, or incomplete information. Instead, careful observation, critical thinking, and reliable evidence leads to better outcomes. History also highlights the importance of cooperation. Great achievements such as the Great Pyramid, the Inca road system, the libraries of Timbuktu, and monumental engineering projects requires thousands of people working together towards shared goals. Progress is rarely the result of an isolated effort. Collaboration, communication, and mutual respect remains essential for solving complex problems. Resilience is another recurring theme. Civilizations faced natural disasters, pandemics, economic challenges, and political change, yet humanity repeatedly adapted, rebuilt, and innovated. These examples remind us that the setbacks are not the end of progress. Difficult periods often inspire creativity, reforms, and stronger institutions. Another valuable lesson is the intellectual humility. Historical knowledge continues to evolve as new discoveries emerge. Responsible scholars acknowledge uncertainty when evidences are incomplete and remains willing to revise conclusions when stronger evidence becomes available. This attitude encourages lifelong learning and respectful discussion rather than rigid certainty. Finally, history reminds us that every generation has the opportunity to leave a positive legacy. Our choices today, how we treat others, preserve knowledge, protect the environment, and encourage innovation will shape the world inherited by future generations. The study of history, therefore, becomes much more than an academic subject. It becomes a guide for responsible leadership, thoughtful citizenship, and meaningful personal growth. By learning from the past, appreciating the present, and preparing wisely for the future, each of us can contribute to a more knowledgeable, compassionate, and sustainable world. Before concluding our journey through these fascinating historical discoveries, take a few moments to reflect on what you have learned. History is most valuable when it inspires curiosity rather than simply testing the memory. Instead of asking only what happened, we should also ask why did it happen and what can we learn from it today. Think back to the remarkable civilizations we explored. Which engineering achievements impressed you the most? The Great Pyramid, Roman concrete, the Inca road system, or the Petra's water management? Which discovery surprised you the most? Perhaps it was the libraries of Timbuktu, the ancient city of Göbekli, Tepe, or the Viking settlement in North America. Consider these reflection questions. Which historical fact challenged something you previously believed? What common qualities did successful civilizations share? How did education, innovation, and cooperation contribute to long term progress? What lessons from history can you apply in your own life, career, or community? Remember that learning history is not about having every answer, it is about asking thoughtful questions, evaluating evidence carefully, and remaining open to the new discoveries. Every archaeological excavation and every translated manuscript has the potential to expand our understanding of humanity's shared story. If this video has encouraged you to explore museums, read historical books, visit archaeological sites, or learn more about different cultures, then it has achieved its greatest purpose. Curiosity is the beginning of lifelong learning. As we reach the end of this video, one message becomes clear. History is far more than a record of the past. It is humanity's collective memory, preserving the experiences, achievements, challenges, and aspirations of countless generations. Throughout these 15 fascinating facts, we have seen extraordinary examples of human creativity and determination. Ancient engineers built monuments that still stand today. Scholars preserved knowledge that transformed the civilizations. Explorers crossed unknown oceans. Scientists expanded human understanding, and communities overcame immense hardships through resilience and cooperation. We also explored historical controversies and learned that responsible scholarship values evidence over sensational claims. Healthy debate is not a weakness, it is a part of the process through which knowledge grows. As new discoveries emerge, historians continue refining our understanding of the past. Perhaps the most inspiring lesson is that the progress has always been built through collaboration. No civilization developed entirely in the isolation. Ideas, technologies, cultures, and discoveries spread through trade, education, diplomacy, and shared curiosity. This reminds us that humanity's greatest achievements are often the result of learning from one another. History encourages us to appreciate those who came before us while accepting responsibility for the generations yet to come. The choices we make today in education, science, leadership, environmental stewardship, and cultural preservation will become tomorrow's history. As lifelong learners, we should remain curious, respectful of evidence, and grateful for the remarkable journey of human civilization. Every discovery reminds us that there is still much to learn, and every generation has the opportunity to contribute something meaningful to humanity's ongoing story. Thank you for joining this journey through 15 fascinating history facts. I hope these stories have inspired you to see the history not as a collection of dates, but as a living record of human imagination, perseverance, and progress. If you enjoyed this video, consider continuing your exploration of history. Visit museums, read books from different cultures, explore archaeological discoveries, and remain curious about the evidence that shapes our understanding of the past. Every new question leads to another opportunity for learning. History belongs to all of humanity. It connects us across continents, cultures, and generations, reminding us that while our languages and traditions may differ, our shared desire to learn, create, and improve the world is universal. Most importantly, remember that the future is built on the choices we make today. Just as previous generations left us extraordinary achievements, we too have the opportunity to leave behind knowledge, innovation, compassion, and responsible leadership for those who follow. Thank you for watching. If you find this video informative and inspiring, please consider liking the video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to the channel. For more evidence-based history, science, and educational content, Your support helps create more high quality learning resources and encourages curiosity about the incredible story of our shared human heritage. Until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep exploring history because every discovery brings us one step closer to understanding ourselves and the world around us.